Consciousness. Awareness. Enlightenment. Illumination. Love. Information. Spirituality. Awakening.
Age of Truth TV. Age of Truth. I'm Lucas Alexander. I was sent on a mission for Age of Truth TV, a truth mission, a vision quest, a search for greater enlightenment and awareness about the world and the universe. A world in which research is so much more than looking into books or watching the news. Our mission is clear: to find some truth and to understand what it means when it's said that the human race is now awakening and becoming more conscious and able to process a far greater amount of new and alternative information about the world they're living in and everything they thought they knew.
It's November 10th, 2012, and we are in Norway, Scandinavia, to meet a very special but also quite a controversial lady. On November 15th, 1939, exactly 73 years ago, Dr. Rauni-Leena Luukkanen-Kilde was born in Finland. She became a highly acclaimed physician and studied medicine at the universities of Oulu and Turku in Finland, and became the chief medical officer for Lapland. Dr. Rauni's life took a dramatic turn as a series of discoveries and events changed her private life as well as her professional life as a doctor. She became a widely published author of several books focusing on the paranormal, otherworldly activities, UFO and alien technology, truths about the medical and pharmaceutical industry, political conspiracies, secret societies, and mind control. Her books has been translated into many different languages, and she continues to give lectures and speeches all over the world. We are here in Norway to find out more about Dr. Rauni-Leena Luukkanen-Kilde's extraordinary work and to see if the truth really is out there. Thank you, Dr. Rauni. Thank you for welcoming us to your home here in Norway. It's absolutely wonderful to be here, and it's so fascinating to now talk to you about all of this research that you've done for years. And first of all, I would like to ask you, how did it all begin? How did you go from being this respected medical doctor to suddenly go into this field of conspiracy and waking up and all of this?
Oh, I didn't start after I became a medical doctor. I started when I was 15 years old. And I had a relative who said, in 3 previous lives I've been married to my husband, who was a professor of medicine. And I thought, wow, this is something. I got interested, and I read anything you could in the 50s about parapsychology in the libraries. And after I started going into different kinds of conferences, mostly in the United States, at my own expense, and then when I went deeply into it, to parapsychological laboratories in University of Princeton, for instance, and then I went to Russia and Siberia. They had an Arctic Medical Research Conference, and there they were doing experiments on consciousness between bacteria. When one vial was full of bacteria here, and there was another vial of bacteria here, and they killed in a way this vial bacteria, and these started reacting. So there was communication. And that's interesting, I think. And then, of course, when I thought, learned enough about the paranormal, telepathy, contact with the energy of the dead, and clairvoyance, and things like that, then I went into ufology. It was like next step. And after ufology, when I learned enough, talked to cosmonauts, talked to astronauts, read all the possible military reports through Freedom of Information Act, then I went into mind control.
Yeah.
So, you know, it goes like this, and what comes after mind control, I don't know, but I'm sure it's just as exciting.
Wow. In your first book, it was in 1982, it was called There Is No Death. You talk about the human spirit having infinite life and infinite consciousness, and you talk about the fact that people should remove themselves from the fear of death, no dying. But what exactly do you mean by there is no death?
Well, number one, we have to ask, what is it to be a human being on this planet? Now, we always concentrate on the body, male, female, cat, dog, elephant, whatever, dolphin. Now, actually, medically, about 70% of our body is water. 70%. 87% of our brain is water. Think of it. I mean, people don't think of this, and doctors don't even remember it generally. So what holds us together? That's energy. And according to Einstein, energy never vanishes. It only changes form, goes to another frequency. So we are actually antennas, we are energy beings. And then in religious terms, people say that, well, we have a soul. Now, if I ask anybody, a priest or a minister or a medical doctor, where is this soul? What color? What form? In what part of the body do we have it? Or is it outside or what? They usually, 90%, don't know. But the old-fashioned concept that brain thinks is already old-fashioned. Brain doesn't think, but all brain cells vibrate. But what people don't know, that every cell in your body vibrates, every one. And that vibration forms you into a light body. And that can be measured. So you are a light being. And of course, since it is vibrating so fast that you cannot see it with eyes, because we're very limited with our senses, so people don't know about it. But you can feel it. You can feel the energy. I can feel your energy. You're coming all the way here. Because you send your energy, and when you're happy and fine, it's way out. And then if you're drunk or smoke or drug addict, sick or whatever, it crimps down, and you know, it's very thin.
So, but if there's no death, what is our physical existence then? Our body, and why can't people remember that they have that they are this infinite consciousness?
Well, think of Hitler. If he could remember, if he would, in energy form coming back, he couldn't live. He couldn't live in this physical body. The physical body is just like a shell to us. Of course, we need that to project our thoughts, to have communication with each other, with animals just as well. I just heard in Finland, in Lapland, a minister had said in confirmation that animals don't have a soul. And I blew up and I decided I'm going to write a letter to the Archbishop and complain. Because of course they are alive beings, they have a consciousness. Now doctors talk about psyche and consciousness, awareness, and nobody says that is wrong.
So is the animal consciousness on the same level as the humans, although they're not as evolved or as intellectual?
I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I do know that my cat understands 2 languages, Finnish and Norwegian, and is so telepathic that when I think here sitting that she's outside, I said, I want you to come home. I don't have to go out and start calling her. all of a sudden she's right there. So, and
So
she's
it's still-
16-year-old, but okay, wise.
So physically, we're on a different level of consciousness.
We are physically vibrating on a very low level, but we cannot communicate like this if we are not seen. But telepathically, I can be on another planet and have contact with you if we have tried all the time to get the contact. I was in Virginia once, underneath the Monroe Institute, underneath the earth, in 3 layers there, and they teach people getting out of their bodies. They use it for espionage, of course, negatively, and think they use it having contact with aliens and other planets, because it's not so dangerous to send your energy out and come back and explain what you have experienced and seen, as if you sit in a rocket or, you know, physically go out, because that's more dangerous.
So actually, human beings are not very evolved. We're in this physical existence, and we don't remember that we are this infinite consciousness. But so, how about you say there's no death and there's no dying, but a lot of people would have a problem coming to terms with that. How should people wake up to that, you think?
Well, they should just get information. I'm trying to give it, and I have been all over the world giving lectures. For instance, medically, we humans don't use, but usually 3 to 5, 8% of our brain capacity. Why? Absolutely not more usually than 10%. There are some geniuses who may have 30% brain capacity, but why don't we? And I have been thinking about it many times, and I thought, since the human race is very primitive, very aggressive, we are at war all the time because of oil or because of minerals or whatever. Report on Iron Mountain says that US always has to be at war. And that report is from 1960 already. So think if we were able to use 100% of brain capacity, this planet wouldn't exist because of our aggressions. So it exists only because we are being suppressed. And then on the other hand, we are being suppressed also with the military technology today, with mind control, with different kinds of frequencies, so that you would not have your telepathic contacts, that you could not have clairvoyance.
So it's distorting our view of reality. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. But how do you encourage people to be aware about this no-death experience? I mean, so what do you mean by no death? Is that the physical body, as we know, dies?
Sure, of course.
And what's left?
It's
What
your
is
energy. I have done research even with myself. When I learned about it in the 70s, I was in America and heard that, you know, there's a technology that you can get out of your body. So I concentrated. One night I was in Chief Medical Office of Lapland at the Arctic Circle in Finland, and one night I just concentrated. I want to get out, and all of a sudden I started getting like radio waves going through my body from toes to my head, and I started sort of shaking. My hair stood up. It gets up now too, which means that I'm telling the truth. But anyway, so, and all of a sudden in a second I was out, and I was floating.
It was out of body experience.
Out of body experience. I was floating towards the ceiling, and what surprised me was, because I was at 8 p.m. I was naked, and I was having my knees up, like my head was here and my knees were up. So in this astral body, energy body, my knees were up too. I was sort of like, hey, wait a minute,
Really?
I'm in two. And then I started looking down, because it's not often you have experiences like this. So I saw that my physical body was very, very slow in breathing, and I worked as a chief anesthetist once a long time ago, so I can count 60 seconds without a clock anytime. So I started counting, and I thought, hey, it's only 10 times a minute, and 20 times a minute is normal. So vital signs are going. So I got a little bit worried, and I descended from the ceiling and took the pulse of my physical body with my astral body's hand.
And you
And
could
it was
feel
32.
it?
Yeah, I could feel it like I feel it here. And it was 32 a minute. When you're relaxing, it should be 60. And then I really got worried. I thought, oh, I'm going to die. I mean, what's going to happen? And then I so like men say at war, they cry for their mother. My mother was 800 kilometers away in Helsinki. And I said, "Mother, help me." And all of a sudden, in a second, I was in Helsinki at her living room. And she was sewing a long dress with flowers.
So were you next to her or up, looking
I
from
was
above?
just,
or?
I was not in the astral form of myself. I was just like a point of consciousness above. And my niece was there, 5-year-old, was babysitted. I saw the drawing. She was drawing a house and a tree and flowers and whatever. And I heard them chatting, but I couldn't hear the words. I didn't know what, but I knew it was not important. And then I thought, where's my sister? Hey, my niece is being babysitted. And in a second, when I thought, where's my sister? Surroundings changed. And I was at a cocktail party in Helsinki somewhere. And then I looked around and I saw a lot of people I knew. And there was my sister flirting with a family friend. And I thought, where's her husband? No place. I want to go home. And immediately, 800 kilometers back to Rovaniemi.
So it's
And
like
then-
switching from one thing to the other.
Exactly, like
At
like
will.
this, at will. And then I was floating like this, in Rovaniemi again, and there I saw my body. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, what, I want to go back. I mean, how do I do it? And then I thought, all the thoughts were in the astral body. Nothing was in the physical, nothing. It was just like a dead corpse. And I thought, how do I get back? I mean, otherwise I'm going to die, or what happens? And if I throw up, I have to see that because I got seasick, floating. I thought,
And you could
I
feel that
cannot.
even though you were in your astral body?
Yeah, I got seasick in the astral body. And I thought, hey, if I throw up so that I'm suffocating the body. So I said, please help me. And just, I was back.
In
I
your
was
own body?
In my own physical body. And I was one, touching myself like, ooh, this was eerie. And then I just fell asleep. And next morning I called my father, who took the phone in Helsinki. I said, what was my mother doing at 8:00 p.m.? Oh, I can't tell you. I can tell you. I said, it's a long dress sewn by hand. Yeah, and my father said, it's a Christmas gift for you. That's why I couldn't tell you. And my niece was there. So Daddy said, how do you know? And I told him that I had astral travel for the first time in my life. And he said, don't ever tell anybody. And of course I went to the Finnish press.
You went directly to the press?
Directly, I told them. So that shook up. Because
what was the
reactions were good.
reaction?
Normal people, they were mostly curious. But since some colleagues had contacted the chief medical officer of Finland, like, she must be crazy, you have to stop this. But I had been also acting Surgeon General of Finland for a short time, so
you were quite known.
So he just said, well,
and you were the chief officer for Lapland, weren't you?
Yeah, at that time. But then I went to Helsinki and I became director in the National Board of Health and shortly also replaced the chief medical officer of Finland. So I have a solid background, and so they have to say either she's crazy or it happened. But something what was interesting, that my book There Is No Death is forbidden, or at least then was forbidden in the psychiatric institutes, because of course the patients could have said, look,
because you're talking about your
exactly.
experiences here.
I was talking in the press. The press, of course, was very interested.
So did you have other experiences like that?
Yes,
out of
I
body?
have. Yes,
Yeah?
but
so they were similar.
No, not similar, because I stopped deliberately doing them. I do it in dreams, I think, but because once I got stuck when I was coming back, so the latter part, my feet were in, but I couldn't get my head and my thorax in, so I got stuck, and I thought, hey, what is this? If I don't get in now, I'm going to get paralyzed. So I really tried, then I went in, and that was the last time.
So was it kind of a scary experience?
It was scary, because I thought that if I don't get in, then that's it, finished. And I was young doctor.
So what happens when we die, briefly?
Well, immediately when your cells, or let's say you die, if I die right here, all I do is my energy comes out, and usually it comes out from your head, so-called crown chakra, or sometimes even out from your heart chakra, and you go towards the light. And there's light, and you can look back and you can see that your body's there. You can see your friends and relatives crying, now she's gone, she's dead. And you're sort of like, hey, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And then you see the big light. And these have been researched for 30 years. I was consultant also in the beginning of 83 for IANS, International Association for Near-Death Studies in America. So for 30 years they have had these experiences gathered from all kinds of civilizations, from India, from Finland, from America, whatever. And all they say the same thing. You go towards the light, and the light, after you come from the tunnel, says, what have you done with your life? What have you done with your life when you were in the body? And so from the second you were born to the moment of death, everything goes like in a film. And you see what you did. And there's nobody who is going to judge you. You judge yourself. You see immediately, there I was evil. There I was envious. There I did something wrong. And you want to...
Many religions say the same thing, though.
Right, but in a different way. But you're really out, and then you also meet all your so-called dead relatives. They come and say, well,
the majority of people in the world, they believe in different forms of religions. What are your thoughts on religion?
Well, I agree with the Asian religions of reincarnation because, again, the energy cannot die, so you cannot die. All your thoughts, all your feelings, your love, your hate, your jealousy, whatever, that is in the energy body. So, of course, there comes a time, and that varies according to literature, which I have read, from 4 hours to 10,000 years, depending on your own needs, would I say. Then you reincarnate. That is, every time a child is born, of course, it has an energy. And I've been doing hypnotic regressions with people a long time ago, and they say usually that about the 3rd month of pregnancy, they sort of go in.
The 3rd month?
Yeah, usually. But there was a Finnish lady who said that before I was born to this life, I was watching as an energy when my future parents were having sex. And that became that I was, that was my body that was started, and I went in and out.
That must have been quite an experience, huh?
You're telling me. And then when you come to this world, the reverse happens, as what happens in your death. You go towards the light. Your birth canal is also a kind of a dark tunnel, and you pop out, you come to the light.
But reincarnation is also a part of a religious dogma, like in Buddhism or
right.
I don't know, Hinduism or whatever, many of these things. And the New Age movement, which has been around for the last 30, 40 years very strongly. How do you feel about the New Age movement? Is that also part of like the religious, it's a new form of religious preaching or whatever? What is the New Age?
I don't know how you define it, but I would say it's alternative view of looking at world, looking at life, being a male or a female in a body on this planet. They also, in the alternative movement, they also use healing. And of course, we know that we are an energy. So of course your energy can influence another energy who is close to you, or even from remote. I know Edgar Mitchell was doing telepathic contacts in 1973 from the moon to the planet Earth.
Edgar Mitchell. He was on the moon. He was on one of the Apollos. He was the 4th or 5th person on the moon or something like that. He was an astronaut.
And the telepathy worked. So distance means nothing when you're dealing with energies. But
there is no time and no space, really. It's only in our physical view of things.
But one thing why this is kept so secret, and why in the Western technical world we don't want generally people to understand, because there are also timelines. You can be also on a different timeline right now. I'm here, but I can send my energy to the future or to the past. And what is worst, the past can be changed. Now that is scary. And of course, if all people would start doing that, it would be a chaos.
So are you telling me that the past already well, the past happened, but the future happened as well. So what is the present?
It's all the same. It's all the same.
And can we
Depending-
alter it? Is it possible if
course.
we say time travel, like what
Oh,
Nikola Tesla
absolutely.
was talking about?
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah.
that like, yeah.
American time travelers, I've read their reports. One lawyer from Seattle, when he was a young boy, his father was working for CIA. They were doing time travel in
It's
1960.
Andrew D. Basiago,
yes,
I believe.
Yes, that's him. He talked about it and how in some kind of a round coil thing they
Like
were
a Stargate
inside.
or something, yeah.
Yeah, and bunks they went from New Jersey to New Mexico in a few seconds.
But he also
And-
spoke about going to Mars, didn't he?
Yes, and he also went from New Jersey to Africa in a few seconds. But he said coming back with normal means, that took 6 weeks for them. Now, that is something, because that will, in the future, also on this planet, eliminate traffic. We can just move from one place to another with our energy. But if we start going back in time, which is also possible for some people, that will change a lot in the world. But it is different timelines.
Yeah.
So we are, at the moment, we can be in Mars.
But say that all of this is true. Don't you think that we are supposed to be how we are physically and live in the world we're supposed to be in? Because this is our experience.
We have chosen it. Of course, because we are all living on planet Earth. So every one of us has decided to come. And now I think is the time, absolutely, that things come out. Because a lot is coming out, more and more and more. And people are waking up from their dream of this is only planet where there is intelligence life. I would say this is probably one of the worst planets with intelligence life, because we are so aggressive. We are all the time fighting, killing each other in wars because of oil or minerals or some land.
So we are not very evolved, is that
We
what you're
are
saying?
absolutely very, very little evolved. But a lot of people are waking up. And the more people start having own experiences, they don't care anymore when somebody says this is not true, this is just bullshit. They don't care. If you tell me that you have had a dream, and vividly you tell what happened, it could have been a precognitive dream that you can see the future, but any dream. So who am I to say, no, you haven't had it. I don't believe you. Because it's your experience and you've absolutely had it. And if it is a very important dream, like precognitive ones are, predicting things that may happen, which you may change, but anyway, so that's just positive.
So how about the idea of the law of attraction, where you can kind of attract things with your mind? The Secret made it very popular.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the law of attraction, like you think about something very strongly and you feel you send out emotions and it manifests. So you kind
Absolutely.
of create your future. So how can the future have happened already if we can create it? Or well,
That's an important question, but I can't answer it. I can say that the future is on another, in my mind, timeline, and not here. But that you can create, I've done that. I was in Rovaniemi when I moved there from Turku, Finland, and became Chief Medical Officer of Lapland. So there was no row house. I wanted a row house next to the river, but they didn't have them. So I had to take an apartment somewhere. But I thought I want a row house with a fireplace next to the river. And in 1 year, they started building it and I bought it. Then I came here in Norway. I thought, after I was separated from my Norwegian diplomat husband, so I thought I want a house with a garden, apple trees. I want furniture built in like a bed. I want all the fridge and refrigerators and washing machines and dishwashers. I just want one. I came here because somebody told me that I was in England, that there's a house for sale. But that somebody wanted me to go to your house next to her. And that house didn't have a wall. It says, here you can build. I said, me build? Forget it. I moved with my toothbrush, and there is a place for my toothbrush. Then she said, well, there's another house here for sale, right? This one. I came from Fejerbacka and I saw it.
So it materialized in a way.
It materialized
So
totally.
we can create it with our thoughts.
Exactly.
And
but this
emotions.
house was already built in 75 and I moved 94. But so it was here, but I got it what I
Kind
wanted.
of meant for you.
So exactly.
Well, we have to move into another important topic. You speak about and write about in your books a very important topic on mind control and how it works. And it's very crucial that you really explain what mind control is, how it is used, in what way it can be used, how it is done, and what different kinds of mind control there actually is.
There are very, very many. In my last book, my first book in English, called Bright Light on Black Shadows, I wrote something about mind control, and one of the pages was about there are several categories of mind control operations. They are covered druggings, hypnosis, trauma conditioning, ongoing psychological torture for long term, etc. They also use electromagnetic fields, and that I think is one of the worst, because they can beam you at night and you must have a microwave leak detector to prove it, because when you say that somebody beams me and I feel that they are, doing something bad to me, well, come on, prove it. I proved it. I bought from Germany because they cannot be bought here. I got a microwave leak detector and I could just say, hey, let's go out, let's see. It goes to red. You're not supposed to be here as a human being. Well, I'm still here. So what do? I put energy-wise a shield, ask for help from the universe for protection and a shield. And if I get that protection, if my own energy is in accordance to the good energies of the universe, nothing can happen. Nothing can happen. They can't come through.
Who would want to come through, and why would they do that?
Intelligence services. They
For you, to you?
To me and to thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world. There are even organizations, especially in the United States, where people can take contact and get help by talking, at least that do this or do that, and they can even have some kind of drapes that may help a little bit, that the electromagnetic fields wouldn't come in so badly. But there are thousands of people who suffer from it, and they can make you, me, anybody with a certain frequency into serial killers, like Breivik in my mind, in Norway, 22nd of July, 11.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that
Yeah.
as well.
And anybody, also we've had murders in Finland, in school shootings, in England, in Germany, in the USA. All of a sudden, we didn't 50 years ago have school shootings. We've always had murders, but not school shootings. So what's going on with the youth? They're being microchipped and steered, because the global elite who wants to steer this world, which is crazy. Why would they want every single person on this planet, 7 billion of us, under total control? Also controlling our thoughts, control of our intelligence, our schooling, control of everything we think. Now, I can't understand why there are people who want that control. But this is just a fact. And it is the military and military intelligence especially, and also civilian secret services, who use normal human beings, anybody, as guinea pigs. We are all laboratory rats. It used to be that they used mental patients in psychiatric institutes. They still do. It used to be, and they still do, they use prisoners. I read years ago how Great Britain sent equipment to Dubai, to prisons, to experiment with the prisoners. I have talked to some prisoners who are out now, who told what they were doing to them. And this is going on also in Norway. A young man, a prisoner, lost his hair because, radiation is toxic. You can lose
So
your
they're
hair.
experimenting
Absolutely.
on prisoners and people.
Yeah, but now they are experimenting on anybody. It used to be that they took certain
But how can they do that?
because they have equipment through satellites and supercomputers. They can direct it be anywhere. When they show me what they can do, because I'm a guinea pig for them.
In what way?
I mean, this house is a fantasy house. You know, they they have dematerializations and materializations in front of my eyes. I mean, I take something and it drops, and in the middle, which is interesting as an observation, it doesn't go click on the floor and then dematerialize. It dematerializes, vanishes while it is in the air. Probably it's easier, I think, to click it
So
out.
it disappears?
It disappears totally. It's materialization and dematerialization, and then I open.
Something that's physical.
It's
in physical
absolutely
form.
physical.
And before it hits the ground, it
It
appears-
vanishes.
yeah.
They have
disappears.
taken. They took. My mother was here, and she was she's dead now. But I had this many photographs on the floor of myself, and I was looking. What am I going to put into some book or something? And all of a sudden, they vanished. They just this pile. My mother saw it, and I saw it, and no place.
How can that happen? Do they
Because
have technology that
yes,
can do
oh
that?
yeah, they've had that for at least 40, 50 years. They beam towards whatever physical object, and they make them into molecules and atoms. And those can, of course, go through the walls, and then they materialize those molecules and atoms into the same object. It's incredible.
And you experience that a lot?
Yeah, all the time. And I get so mad because, you know, things disappear. I need them.
But most people in the world do not have these experiences. Why are they happening to you, especially?
I don't know. I really don't know, except that I do know that I have a very solid background privately and also professionally. I've been interested, I've been researching these fields for 40 years, so I know a lot. I've gone to international congresses in all kinds of countries. I've talked to people who are in the know, who are insiders, if I would say that. I'm not an insider because I don't work for anybody. I'm
Yes.
just maybe that's dangerous because nobody can tell me, don't say that. Every time I find out something, I blast it out in my next lecture. And those who don't want people to know, they don't like that. I'm a rebel in a way. They can't just stop me, and that's why they have tried to kill me a few times. And always has some universal energy come and help me. Like
Kind of protected in a
day.
way. Yes.
You know, I was driving in Lapland 100 kilometers an hour, an elk jumps in, you know, and I thought, oh God, I mean, this is it. We both died, the elk and me. It was coming towards my car, and something happened. An energy came between my car and the elk and threw it back to the woods, 5-6 meters something, and
it
landed.
survived.
It landed on 4 feet, and it was just like this. You know what happened? And I just said, "Oh, thank you."
And you were fine?
I was fine.
In the car?
I was totally fine, but I was just shook up a little bit. Like, oh,
But you had some car accidents, you
I've had
you
9.
told me.
So
9?
9 car
Wow.
accidents, and the last one.
So is that because you're not a good driver?
Mostly they have not been my fault. They have been attacking me, or I have won the court cases, mostly, but not all. The last one, a bus drove over me, and imagine, I'm also an automatic rider, which means that I go into a light trance, and I take a pen. And
A light trance?
yeah, so that I could be talking to you and just writing, you know, and I have no idea what I write. And that I became through a meditation where I was 3 years and nothing happened to me. But all of a sudden, when we're meditating, looking at a light, my hand goes up and starts doing figure 8, sign of eternity. And I tried to take it down. I couldn't. I tried to take it down. I could not. There was an energy that kept it up. So then I thought maybe this starts automatic writing. So I said, right into the air. In my mind, I said it.
So that was when you realized you had these abilities to
That's when it
to do
started,
this.
in
That's
that
when all of it
meditation.
started. Okay.
And then came, I said, right into the air. and then it starts writing.
So it's like a door, a
SOLE.
spiritual door opening,
Opens, yeah.
opening up to all of these experiences you're having
Yeah,
now.
because the writing was Solveig. It was my relative who had, when I was 15 years old, said that in 3 previous lives I've been married to my husband. And I thought, well, come on. I mean, we only have one life. I didn't know I was only 15. She died at the age of 51. And 2 months after, I start getting this Solveig. And I was flabbergasted. Next week, I went to the meditation. I took a pen and a pencil. I thought, hey, this is automatic writing me. Sure enough, again, hand starts going wild. I took it. Solveig, I am alive. God is love. And I thought, gee. Then came text that you're going to Malaysia. I didn't even know where Malaysia exactly was. Why should I go to Malaysia from Lapland? 2 weeks after.
So you do believe in God, or is
Absolutely, but what is God?
that? Yeah, that was what I was asking you about. All these
What is
religions. What do you think about all
every
these
one of us
religions?
has their own concept of God. Every one. Now, I definitely don't accept that it is our Father, which is a male, and in cartoons a white male with a beard sitting on a cloud. No.
So is it a figure in your opinion?
In my mind, it is an energy. And I think the word Tao is very good in Asia because it doesn't give a form. It is an energy.
So all of the different religions are basically the same, just in different
Different manifestations
consonants,
or understandings. And
So is that religions part of a mind control programming on the population?
I never thought of it, but that's probably a good idea.
How about the
Because at least
educational system?
it is absolutely both educational and religions. They are for control. If they are for mind control is another thing, but for control, yeah, in education.
How about the media then?
TV, radio, absolutely PC. You just sit there and you're being beamed. And I've told my friends, I said, when the light green color comes into your PC or TV, just go away because that is extra microwaves.
So approximately how many people on planet Earth this year, 2012, is affected or under the influence of mass mind control in some kind of way, do you think?
I can't say, but I would think that almost everybody today, without knowledge, because of satellite surveillance, because of our TVs. In the Western world, people almost all have a TV. I don't, but that's an exception again, because I don't want to be influenced, because that's where they beam you. That's how they beam.
So how about computers and
same.
and mobiles and
Same.
mobile phones?
Mobiles. Mobiles are the worst you can think. First we buy it, then we use it, and we destroy ourselves. Finally now, WHO has accepted that possibly mobiles cause cancer. And now people are starting to wake up. Schools are, in many countries, saying that teachers are saying that you cannot have your mobiles in schools. But what they have done, even in our community, I was shocked. In the day school of children, they have antennas. They have special lamps all over the Western world. They have lamps with different frequencies. They can blast the frequency of aggression or depression or whatever when they do the experiments. And people have no idea.
They can put that frequency into the mobile so that it can project that to your
And the lamps,
mind?
also the street lamps, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. And it is absolutely true that mobiles cause brain tumors. I mean, it is suppressed. It is suppressed, and they suppress that. No.
Mobile phones and computers have been there, has been in existence for a relatively short time.
Right.
So we don't really know the effect so much yet, do we?
Yes, we do. We do, but it is, I would say, industrial secrets. Because when you go to conferences, there you get information. Also disinformation, because they always have, I call them bought professors. You know, they get $1 million for a lecture or for a TV appearance or whatever, and then they are bought by the industry. And they say, oh, there's no, we were looking into it and we're researching, but there's no proof. There's absolute proof, but it is not given to general public. And especially children should absolutely never, ever have mobiles for emergency. But mothers say, "Oh, I have to."
How can the population live without it today? I mean, the old days we had
Well, they die.
home phones, but
They,
you know,
they die. They die. In 20 years, I think we have they have achieved what they want. They want depopulation.
we're very dependent on the mobile phones
Because
today.
it is
very
addictive.
convenient.
It's addictive.
and
It's like
useful.
morphine is addictive. Tobacco is addictive. Mobiles are addictive. And in 20 years, you know, okay, 1992 Rio Conference revealed in UN Agenda 21 that 85% of the world population has to be eliminated. 85% of our 7 billion today.
Why?
Because we're too many and because they want all the riches and all the whatever. I mean, I think we are being steered by unethical elite who have their own agenda. And they even in Georgia have built these stones which resemble the ones that are in England, Stonehenge. And there it says that the world population should be only 500 million. 500 million! And it's in 3 languages, including Hebrew. Interesting. So we're on the way.
Why do they want to depopulate the world, do you think?
They think that we are too many and the oil will not last for everybody and the food will not last. And they have the Nazi type now, that so-called lesser people who are invalids or deaf and sick or whatever, they should be eliminated. I mean, the Nazi type, we thought that it's gone, it was in Germany. No, it's today in America. Remember what Mitt Romney said, something of 47% of Americans being like on a lesser scale that they are on social security, etc. Now in Finland, the vice president of the Conservative Youth Party said that we should stop paying for childcare for those people who are in lesser health, you know, who are under. That created a furor in Finland. But the idea is there. The Nazi idea is get rid of the lesser people and there should be only elite and the slaves. The middle class is dangerous. Middle class can read and write, even in Africa and Asia. They are dangerous for the elite.
But the middle class is the working class, the ones that actually are the so-called slaves, or the ones that go out and do the work, right?
Yeah, but the middle class who is educated, should I say, like academically, they are not wanted unless they are super scientists, because they then can further the human race. But I think the thing that really lacks in this planet, and especially in the Western world, is the no knowledge of what it is to be a human being. No knowledge that we are an energy being. And the body is just like a shell.
Yeah, but we're being taught to grow up and be educated, being in school from 6 years old or whenever. I know in France it's even earlier. And then we have to get an education, we have to get a good job, and we have to be very knowledgeable. And, you know, to go out there and work until we are ready to retire.
You know, they retire at 67 in Norway. In Finland, we can retire at 62, 3. And we are neighboring countries, so...
How does a person under trauma-based mind control function, which is like a personally inflicted kind of mind control, which is not from outside so much, but more what they used to do with like electroshock or whatever, indoctrination?
Well, actually, electroshock is also trauma-based. Of course, you get a shock. But I just read about Carol Rutz, an American who, as a child, was taken as being an experiment laboratory rat, I would say. And she said she was given curare, so she couldn't move, and then they put snakes over her, which of course for a child is extremely traumatic. What they do with trauma-based mind control, they also take and almost drown you. Waterboarding.
Waterboarding,
which
yeah.
Bush says is not torture. Well, of course it is torture because you're almost
He
drowned.
said it was not torture.
Yeah. He says that the United States does not torture. I even have that put into my new book. President of the United States says that U.S. does not torture. So anything that is very traumatic to you. Now, the horror stories that I have also read, and one who told it is now dead and the other one sits in jail. They skin children because the trauma is so terrible that they switch into another frequency, another timeline.
They skin the body?
Now yes, not the whole body, but a little bit. You don't have to take much that it hurts. They also put them into ceiling in a cage, naked, and beam with an electromagnetic frequency. That, of course, is terrible also. Now, these are extremes, but these are reported. And like I said, those two who reported them, one is dead and one is in jail. Now, that kind of mind control, I think, is horrendous because it's done mostly to children.
It's to create a compartmentalized state so that
Exactly.
one side of the brain doesn't know what the other. It's like making a
Multiple
what they
personalities.
what is
That's
called
right.
DID,
Yeah.
dissociative identity
Yes.
disorder today, isn't it?
Right.
They have different personalities and they create different personalities within
And
a
one
person.
is a killer, and when the killing happens, then they switch to another one and they know nothing about the killing, and they deny that they have done something. Now, why? I'm again saying, why are there people and scientists, medical doctors who are involved with this? Oh, it is for science, for evolvement. Now, for me, this is not evolvement. We're going down the drain as human beings by torturing.
But if they can get, say, something done for them, they could like do a lone wolf kind of experiment, create a split personality, couldn't they, for a specific use?
That's why they do it. They want killers. They
Why?
want
Why do they want
exactly?
killers?
Exactly. I don't understand their reasoning. But
Well,
once
you have stated that the Norwegian mass killer, Anders Behring Breivik,
Yeah.
was under mind control when he
Absolutely.
created the horrible things. But why did that have to have? I mean, you have to talk about that.
A political reason. It's always a political or an economical reason.
But Norway,
was
here
no-
in Norway, is such a peaceful country, yeah?
Well, that's what you think. It's a NATO country. And Per Borten, who was prime minister, he's deceased a long time ago, said that Norway is almost a vassal state of USA. I have been flabbergasted to see how little Norwegians have to say themselves, actually. I was present when the justice minister, when he was in office, Odd Dorum, said that we in Norway live in tyranny. Tyranny. We live in tyranny. You wouldn't think that of Norway, and
No.
the Minister of Justice saying that in an official
He said that?
seminar. Yes, I wrote it down immediately. Now, on the 5th of 11, a leftist newspaper, Klassekampen, had a little article, and I thought, wow, now the Justice Minister of Norway is considering a law that would forbid Norway to go to war in other countries. If that goes through, and if it would be enlarged to other NATO countries, we would have world peace soon. And on Thursday, happens to be my birthday, so I'm going to Finland now in a few days. The Secretary General Fogh Rasmussen, who is a Dane, he's coming to Finland to give a lecture, so I just want to listen what he's going to say, and would he consider something like that it is forbidden in some countries. What does he say to Norway? And in 2007, the official annual report of the military of Norway, signed by the defense minister and the chief general of the military, states that if Russia attacks northern Norway, NATO and USA are not going to help. How come? This is official.
Why?
It was in
Really?
it was in every single newspaper, in mass media, TV, all over. So
Why would they not do that?
That is their thing. I don't have an answer, but I have some ideas. because in the old days they found out that the defense minister of Norway, Jens Christian Hauge, was a KGB agent. Isn't that interesting?
Really?
And he was, yes.
And
he
they know
was,
that for sure?
Yeah. And he was the Illuminati's man in Norway. He was the CIA man in Norway. Double agent. Now, I can imagine that Americans would be mad. Then it was stated that Marietta, there is it's a female name, a Finnish name, by the way. They have a boat up north, which is a spy boat. And I was told that instead of course, one thinks a NATO country spies for NATO against Russia, but it was the other way around. Now, if that's true, and if these things come out, of course, NATO's 5th paragraph is not for Norwegians. But I mean, we need to talk about this. I confronted the Finnish utrikesminister, the foreign minister of Finland, because he was Ilkka Kanerva. I know him. I know a lot of people in good positions, and that's why I talk with them and I find out, and then I blast it out. So he was in Bodø, in northern part of Norway, just when this came out in all the So at a civilian military course meeting, I asked him, what did he think about it? And you know what the answer was? I was shocked. It was regrettable that people got to know it. This is the politicians' attitude, that people have to be kept suppressed, ignorant, not knowing.
So did that have something to do with the killings on Utøya, that island
No,
where
no, no,
Anders
no, no, no.
Behring Breivik
No.
was doing?
No.
Why did that have to happen?
Well, I don't know, except I have written a report in my new book, which has been published in European Times Net on the 25th of July, when 22nd of July happened the massacre in Oslo and Utøya. And it has been published in one radical, I would say, a very good net magazine called nyhetsspeilet.no. If you want to find out something what's happening in the world and Norway, so click into nyhetsspeilet.no. They published it, and they said that the bankers, USA, European Union, etc., wanted Norway to come to European Union because Norway is not a member. It's a member in the EOS system, but not a member, because they want their money. Norway is very, very rich. Nothing, no debt from the state and whatever. And now they have found more and more oil, and they could, of course, save American banks and European banks. And Norway has not been so positive about it. So when something happens, a terror action, always follow the money, and you start understanding things. But they always pick out a patsy to do it, a lonesome man who does this.
So you think that he was a patsy, that he was under mind control?
Of course. I've studied this, for years, and he said even himself, he tried twice, and in some papers even more than twice even, but at least twice he called the police, and police did not take. He wanted to give up shooting. He wanted to I give myself. No, police didn't want him. Police slowed down, like in every single mind control and state terror acts. Police doesn't act. Olof Palme was, as you know, killed, and police wasn't there, and slow down. Everything is slow down. Here it was just incredible. Police went to another harbor, took a little rubber boat, which was just about twice the size of this table, and 10 men in there, and of course it stopped in the middle of the sea. And so tourist boats, helped them to come to Utøya. And then when Breivik was taken, he was then taken back to Utøya. They were, reconstructing this. And then they asked, well, how does it feel? So his hypnotic mind control seemed to break down, and he says, gruesome, gruesome, no, terrible, terrible.
He said
and
that?
then he said that. And then he, came back and said, but it had to be done. It had to be done.
But now having seen the trial on television, it looks like he's thriving and he's happy and he's like proud of what he's done.
Of course. They can make you be the happiest man in the world. They can click you and you can cry, you can be jealous, you can be a killer, or you can be the happy man. Of course, it is mind control, but that has to be under the wraps. So the first two psychiatrists said, oh, he's a paranoid schizophrenic. I think they tried to save him, because those who are behind, those who programmed him through the war video, they are the ones who should be taken. He's a biological robot, and already in the 1970s, 30 articles by New York Times were about these biological robots. Males, usually males, and usually young men. Maybe they have had some psychological trouble. That's a very good cover-up. But it is clear, and they want more and more and more, because the agenda behind, remember, depopulation also. And it changes the laws of the country. Immediately the laws, no guns like in America, gun laws were changed. In Finland they wanted gun laws changed, but our Prime Minister did not, because we hunt. Then another school shooting happened, then we changed the gun laws. So there's always an agenda, and the general public knows nothing.
So do you think that every time something happens, like a school shooting or a lone gunman like Timothy McVeigh at Oklahoma City bombing, and even 9/11, is that part of a mind control thing, or what?
9/11 is something totally different. I actually
Well,
have a book about Judy Wood, who is an engineer and a PhD and physicist and whatever, has written a thick book and shows that the Twin Towers vanished, dematerialized. They did not fall down. That's all disinformation.
Yeah, but you could see it on the ground, the material there.
Hey, you see, there wasn't much. You see what the television shows you. You see that planes crash because television shows you.
But some people say it was like these drones that they are using now.
I just said, read the book. After that, you are shocked to conscious, because they, from one floor to another, huge clouds just came, and they just vaporized, as the people who jumped out vaporized. I said there are dematerializations.
So it was not Osama bin Laden, in your opinion.
Of course not.
Who was behind it?
Ask George W. Bush. He knows, because he was reading in Florida, a children's book, when he was being told that now the US has been attacked. And those in the know his book was upside down. And upside down means, with the elite and intelligence services, I have found out, means that everything that you read if it's a lie, put it upside down, then you know what is the truth.
We've got a malfunctioning officer in corridor 7A. All right, just a minute. Stand by, Scope 1.
Anybody who looks at the stars when it is a starry night can understand that there are millions and millions and millions of stars and planets, which we don't even see with our plain eyes. We see 5,000, 6,000 of them, but of course there are millions. And of course they have a life. But that life doesn't have to be exactly like it is on planet Earth. And on the other hand, it can be exactly like on planet Earth. We always put restrictions. We say there has to be water, there has to be oxygen. Now we need that. They may have another kind of life, and the most important thing that for everybody in the universe is light. Nobody can live without light. So that's the start. My interest started a long time ago when I was actually attending American UFO conferences. And there I met, among others, Yugoslavian American doctor Andrej Puhari. And he is deceased now. But he said when we had dinner together and he talked about his experiences with UFOs, he said that he who brought Uri Geller to the Western world, he and Uri fly with UFOs. And I was flabbergasted. I said, come on, you're a medical doctor, you're a colleague, and you're flying with UFOs. That's what he said. And then I said, I took a challenge. I said, well, take me along when you fly next time. And he took it very seriously, and he said, where do you live? And I said, I live at the Polar Circle in Rovaniemi, the capital of Finnish Lapland, and I have neighbors who are not, conservative in a way. They wouldn't be surprised if a UFO lands and picks me up. I was sort of kidding. And he said, I have to ask for permission. And I thought, I was stupid enough not to question who is the person or whatever entity he has to ask permission from. So I just forgot the whole thing. But then 2 months passed, and I was at home with a young actress from the local Tovari Rovaniemi theater, and I took her little booklet I had just that day bought of haiku poems, Japanese poems. And the title of the poem that I was looking at and started reading had the title First Contact. So I read it, just a few lines, and then I looked out, and I couldn't believe my eyes. There, about 100 yards from us, about 100 yards from the ground, there was a UFO. And the thing that surprised me most, because I had told them, just come along, take me along. I went into almost total panic, and I have never in my life been in panic except at that moment. I have been threatened by guns in Malaysia when I went into refugee camps, etc. But I was never, ever in panic or never, ever afraid. But that sight made me really into panic, and my friend and myself, we were just praying, please don't come, please don't come. They were sending a frequency of fear. And later I found from an American expert that they have an energy field, which is several hundred yards, maybe 300 yards or something, around them. And they send that frequency so that the humans and animals could not attack because we are facing so much fear. And it was interesting that it stayed there for 15 minutes, because after 15 minutes it just left. And then the newspapers in Lapland were writing that a UFO was seen by 100 people who had called the paper, the Lapland Times, and it was right there where I had also seen it, by the river. And then they asked the commander-in-chief of the Air Force of Lapland, what was it? And he said it was a Soviet rocket. A Soviet rocket that, stops for 15 minutes outside my window and, sort of say, hi, Rowney. Now, of course, that was a lie, because the military has always, orders never to admit a UFO. Then 4 years passed, and a new commander of the Lapland Air Force was asked, what was this thing, 4 years ago that happened? So he said it was a flock of birds. If the military doesn't distinguish between a UFO, a flock of birds, or whatever, a rocket from Soviet, so I think the standard is very bad. But at that time I did not know, and that came out 3 years later when I was at a UFO conference in Basel in Switzerland. We were put into a mass hypnosis. And we were given an order to go to a very important event in your life. And for some reason, my consciousness went back to that night when I saw the UFO. To my great surprise, I was taken in at night, which I did not recall consciously, but I recalled it in hypnosis. I was taken in, and that's when they were doing medical examinations on me. And I was not afraid at all. They also put something, an energy field in a way over my body. And I said, what are you doing? We are taking a copy of your physical body for cloning. Can you imagine? I was just flabbergasted. It didn't hurt, of course, but I thought that was very strange. When next summer, I had some friends who had been to Spain, and they said that they had seen me there. And I said, I haven't been to Spain. You know, I haven't that time. I hadn't been there. No, yes, you were in a discotheque and you just vanished. And they were describing the clothes that I had on. And I do have that kind of clothes. It was fascinating and flabbergasting. It was a life experience. Mostly it was light. Mostly it was vibrating light, just like yellowish. It was not a beam. It was an object which was just staying there 100 yards above the ground, 100 yards from us. Because when the object flew away, we were normal in our bodies, you know, and we were just sort of shaken a little bit. Oof, what was that? Of course, we probably, at least I, because my friend didn't experience this. She just saw it, but she didn't experience that she was taken on board. The Yugoslavian American doctor, he didn't contact me in between. It was about 2 months, you know, after we talked and had the dinner together and talked about these things. And then it just came. And I never heard from him afterwards. I wrote a letter to him, but he had just either did not get it or whatever. He told me that CIA had burned his house and he had gone over to Mexico. But now I've heard that he's deceased. But I never had any contact with him after that. But I explained to him in the letter what had happened to me, and I never got an answer. Aliens. And I don't even like that name because it sounds like it's something out there. Because we are all aliens, we who are here, especially those who remember their so-called previous lives in other dimensions, in other timelines, on other planets. And majority of world's population in the West especially concentrates always on the body. You know, you are white, you're yellow, you're black, you're brown, whatever. And they would be shocked even if I say, well, why can't you be blue or violet in your skin color, like in Avatar film or something like that. So when we concentrate only on the physical of the human being, that is just the minor part of you, because of course your mind, man is a mind, not a body. So your mind, your consciousness is eternal, it's energy. And when you break down your physical body, like I have always said, you know, it's mostly water. 70% is water and 87% of brain is water. So it's energy that holds us together. And that energy can be sent anywhere in the universe. And if you recall that you have really lived somewhere on another planet in another lifetime, then of course you're kind of the same group and the same group contacts you. That has come to me as a conclusion. Because when I was 15 years old, I designed a school ring for our class, and it was a girls' school in 1955 already, and I designed a Saturn. And I didn't know why. Now I know why. Somebody tried to make me remember that you have contacts to the universe, to other planets. And of course, at 15, I had no idea. I just, you know, I don't know why I did it. Because I haven't gone into that field at all. I just took it as because Saturn has a ring. And it was, for a 15-year-old girl, it was easier probably to design a round planet with a ring. I think it was a symbolic thing for me to remember. Because then what I do remember, it comes in dreams and visions, that I've been to some planet where the grass was not green, which it should be, and at least on the moon and it is green. I have seen NASA's pictures. It was violet. And the trees were violet, and I couldn't understand. I've never seen that kind of, trees. They were beautiful, like huge, huge flowers, but as big as trees. And all the buildings were round. And I was asking, why are they round? I mean, ours are often square, because energy goes in circle. That's why it's healthier to be in a round room, a round building. And it was incredible. And what surprised me most was that the trees, they have long roots. They took the roots out. They walked and put the roots in to some other fertile land. They sort of walked around. And then they stayed there for I don't know how long. And then they took the roots out again. They were moving. And I had never even thought in my wildest imagination that trees could do things like that. Why would we, as Earth people, want to go to another planet and just, with satanic minds? No. Our main weapon is love, compassion, and forgiveness, especially love. So we can all use that weapon every day if we want to. We can dismantle all these satanic even thoughts. But we're not there to destroy them. And I can't believe that others who have maybe thousands of years more technology than we do would do the same. The elite uses, like Freemasons and others, satanic rituals. I mean, that's known. And they have all these symbols, and they have their handshakes and whatever. Maybe through their rituals, they are trying to get contact with other dimensions. If you think of Mantu Project or time travel or whatever, there is evidence that we can access other dimensions. We really can, but it's very dangerous, and many people have died doing so. But I don't really believe that even the elite, that's all they want, evil, 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 and have satanic whatever. Some of them are. Of course, there are many, 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 and nobody knows how many races in the universe. I have heard of Ames in California that NASA's laboratory has at least pictures of 70 different races. And why not? I mean, some may look like crocodiles, some may look like grays, some may look like us, whatever, because the physical form is not important. Shape-shifting, in my mind, is hypnosis. I mean, anybody can be hypnotized to see anything, reptilians or whatever, somebody changing, but they really don't do it. So in the Hezekiel's 5th book, it states like something comes from the sky, and there are witnesses on the ground, and then an entity comes out which looks like a human but is not human looking in the face, because the face looks like a lion face or a face of a bird, but the body otherwise is with two legs, two arms, and it has shining armor on. So at least there are many, many stories in the Bible that they are seeing something that flies, flying book scrolls and things like that. Today we would call them UFOs, a cigar-formed UFO. Hundreds of years of old text, they always include something flying and coming down. So that's just a fact. And the car bird of Egypt, whatever that was. So the history is there. But the thing is that the elite wants to suppress the knowledge, because when it becomes common knowledge that we really have contact and there are other dimensions and other entities much, much more advanced than we are in other planets, so they lose their power. And that's why they have for years, like RF Media from 1990 is a CIA project which has a purpose of programming and triggering behavioral desire, subversion of psychic abilities of population, preparatory progressing for mass electromagnetic control. And another one, Tower from 1990, CIA NSA project, says that purpose is programming through neural resonance and encoded information, effect neural degeneration, DNA resonance modification, psychic suppression again. So they really have programs with different frequencies on this planet to suppress clairvoyance, to suppress telepathy, to suppress our contacts with aliens. And I would say rather with ETs, extraterrestrials, because as I said, I don't like the word aliens. But there's a universal law. They have a lot of universal laws that we don't know about, but which are the same in all planets, all the universes, that you cannot interfere in another planet's development negatively. Because I think we have so much negativity already on this planet, we don't need any more negativity. We need love. That, of course, goes through. That goes through, and that's allowed, but not negativity. We have to clean up our own mess, so to say. Well, there must be races which could conquer us any day. And in a way, they already have done it, because we are them. We are, on this planet, many people who remember their past lives and remember their lives on other planets. And of course, there may be races like reptilians, but because we are fixed again into the body, that is atrocious. That is, disgusting looking. So I do think that may be just a CIA invention to make people be afraid of alien contacts. Reptilians are described more crocodile-looking, if I would say so. And that scares people. So of course, they can exist. But somehow it seems that why would some race who knows that they have been in other planets come here and want to be evil, and eliminate 85% of world population? I don't believe that. I really don't. I think it is just man-made for power and for money. There's a lot of disinformation on this field, because nobody can exactly, you can't prove. I can't prove that I have been on another planet. I can't prove I have lived before. I can't prove that I know who I'm going to be in my so-called next life. I can't prove it to you. I can just describe it to you. It's my life experience. But this is the mystery of being a human being on planet Earth. Ask your heart, how does it feel when you hear a news? And official news are usually always wrong. I mean, that is cover-up. No matter what it is, usually cover-up. But also, it depends on your own spiritual level. We are all children in the school of life. And some people are in kindergarten, some people are in the universities, and most of us are in between. So it depends on your own status too. It's like, mathematics. You cannot talk to kindergarten people about logarithms. You have to start with 1 and 1 is 2, sometimes 3. But it depends on your own spiritual level, what you can absorb, what you can understand, and what you can accept. But always listen to your heart. Don't listen to your brain, because that may be always wrong, or many times wrong, but your heart is never, never wrong. Never, never. A blind lady in Finland contacted me and told me a whole story how she has been taken into UFOs, and she's not blind when she's taken in. That means in my mind that she's there in her energy body, in her astral body. She can see everything. She can see everything. But when she comes back and wakes up in the morning in her body, she's blind again, which is interesting. Also, her son is very psychic and has UFO contacts, and he's normal with his sight. So I think it's very interesting how people differently experience, but her experiences are very, very, very positive. In America, I have understood so-called abductions, which are done mostly by the military. They are very negative. And of course, anything that humans do to others which is negative is not correct. And I cannot see why would ETs come here, abduct people, and do some bad things to them. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Remember, non-interference law. Don't interfere in the life of primitive planets. Think what we have done in Scandinavia for Sami people. Think what the Americans did, and Spaniards, number one, did to American Indians. They destroy the culture of people who they consider are on a lower level, not spiritually, because spiritually they are always on the higher level than we are, but technically they are. So the same thing, I think, applies for the universe. You do not have the right to go and destroy other planet life. You can only, with love, put it up. I feel that my mission on this planet is to throw seeds. And it's not my mission to see whether they grow or whether they don't. But nobody is allowed to say that I didn't know who knows me, because I said I tried to tell you, and you didn't believe, and you didn't want to believe, and you didn't want to hear. That's okay. That's your right, absolutely. But I would do wrong to myself if I would not give out the information that I have, because I feel it's important. And then the receivers take it or leave it, and that is according to their standard, according to their beliefs, according to their religion, according to whatever they believe in. Why are they here? And the number one, ask anybody, what is your mission in life? And then somebody says, well, how do I know what my mission is? I said, think twice. What are you doing? Are you giving something to other people, which is positive, or are you drawing others down? Then you start seeing what your mission is. And we all have different reactions and different missions. It's like the flowers on a field. You cannot demand that all flowers are same color, same height. No, they're all different, because we are all different. And that's fine. That's the variety. But we should all lift up as much as we can the planet Earth's consciousness, the energy field of us, humanity, and the whole planet, because it starts from within, from one person, and it spreads. And that's our mission for everybody.
A lot of people, and truth researchers, and even politicians talk about the New World Order. What exactly is the New World Order, and what part does it play in all of this?
I think it plays the major part, because it changes the world. It wants to change. It created European Union. Now, why was Obama bin Laden selected, not
Osama
elected?
bin Laden, Obama.
Did I say Obama? I'm sorry.
They kind of similar names, huh?
Yeah, but Obama, Barack Obama, I mean, selected, not elected. Why do I say this? 303 votes. Number 3 is intelligence services, and number 1 code when they do something. Things are not the way we're being told in mass media.
So what is the New World Order really, in your opinion, briefly?
It is full of extremely, extremely rich Zionists who control the world. As for names, Rothschild in Europe, the whole family clan, and Rockefellers, David Rockefeller especially in the United States, Murdoch.
Murdoch, yeah.
But, and of course, since he owns mass media to a great extent, there's very little you can do against getting the truth out. But now, as you know, News of the World was pushed down because of spying, whatever, accusations. Now, you would have never thought that that could have happened a few years ago, that Murdoch goes in a way down. His imperium, not wholly, but that's a start. Now, many people don't even know that that Hague, in the International Court in Hague in Holland, has given already January 2010 an arrest warrant to George W. Bush, to Dick Cheney, to Condoleezza Rice, to CIA's Tenet, etc. Gonzales, he was the lawyer.
They did that?
Yes. And who gave this information out? It came out from Ireland, but it came out from Russian RT television. Now, I think it is pretty interesting that Russia gives out information, and yet at home in Russia people are not allowed to talk freely about Putin or sing, in a church or a little bit degradingly or whatever. They go to jail. But Russia gives out information about the West, and this is what happened here. That it was the Russian KGB.
But they say that all the continents are part of this New World Order. So why is there a difference between one country and does The Hague really do? Would they do that? Would they give such a?
They have given the warrant, and it has an effect because George W. Bush cancelled his trip 2 years ago. He was supposed to come to Switzerland to some congress. Cancelled because he was afraid they would take him. On the 10th of May, I read about Kissinger, who was in Trilateral Commission's meeting in Ireland, and he left the
this
place.
Year, 2012?
No. It was a couple of years ago. But the date was 10th of May, and he was going to be arrested, and he left. Now, then they said excuses, why the foreign minister there didn't act so.
But if he and the other people are part of this New World Order and the implementation of that, how would anybody arrest them then? They're part of the whole system.
A local policeman comes and knocks on my door and says, "I'm worried about your health." That happened on the second day of Easter, and I know they have orders trying to claim people are insane who talk about conspiracy theories. And they are not theories. It's deception of the state against their own people. So when they get an order, they obey. Armies, police, order.
Is that part of a mind control thing too, or is it just
not necessarily?
It's just direction. It's just
direction,
an order.
but they can be mind controlled because now all the people who took the vaccine for the swine flu influenza are mind controlled because they also have a microchip.
So people should not take vaccines, you think?
Absolutely not. If they want to
You're a medical doctor.
I
so
know.
maybe
I
you
know
a lot
this
about
shocks people, but I know too much. In the old days, medicines and especially injections, vaccinations were good for you. Today, the content has been changed because it is part of depopulation program.
So it's actually it's bad to take these
Absolutely.
vaccines?
Because it is part of depopulation program, and you know Bill Gates, who is a multimillionaire and promotes vaccination programs all over the world with his milliards. Well, he has said in a seminar that vaccinations are part of the depopulation program. which means that it also has, those vaccines have usually a sterilizing agent. So they don't want more children. They want, remember, depopulation. 85% have to be eliminated. I mean, I don't understand that, because those people
But
who
if
are on
the
the top...
elite people that some call the Illuminati, if
Yeah.
that's the right word for it, or the New World Order structure, if some people in The Hague are giving a warrant to people like, you say, Kissinger and
Yeah.
whoever, you
It
know more
wasn't,
about
Kissinger's name was not in that.
Okay, then
but-
somebody
yeah,
else's
yeah.
name. But if they're giving a warrant for that, and they're the agents trying to depopulate people, how can all of that be? How can that fit together?
I think it's quite clear. It is part of this awareness that things are coming out. Now those big guys are going to be taken one after another, which was unthinkable a few years
So
ago.
you think they will be exposed, or what?
If they
or-
come to Europe, they will be arrested, okay?
But Europe and America is the same, isn't it? I mean, in
No,
terms
it
of
isn't. If a local policeman gets an order, go and arrest, well, he has to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, he's going to be in trouble. Then we see what happens. But already, if George W. Bush cancelled his trip, it has an effect. And effect number one, that they are being told that something is happening. Think of UN. Why is the Security Council of UN mostly, besides China, it is mostly considered white, and it is, technologically advanced countries. I mean, come on, the world is not white, and the countries are not white, and there are only a few countries that are there. Why not everyone? Finland tried to be a member, but we were eliminated. I don't know the reason. Probably somebody didn't like what we were doing, but so what? We need something like UN. If it didn't exist, we would have to make it.
So you believe that the UN is a good thing and not part of the
Of course it
New
is
World
part of the
Order?
New World Order, but we still need it, because that is the only place where people come from all over the world and talk. And you have to talk.
So there is hope. It's not just about saying
Absolutely.
something bad and, the world is run by crazy people or people who want to depopulate everybody. So there is a difference between the continents, and there is hope, or what?
There's absolute hope. And I would say that love is the key. That is the last chapter in my book, and stating that when we know that there is so much injustice in the world. I mean, people are dying because of hunger, because of the storms created by HAARP very much, Japan or Haiti or Sandy or whatever. There's a lot.
It's hot. It's a high technology frequency satellite system.
It is a system that is the biggest pulsing weapon in the world. In Alaska is the number one, but we do have one in Norway here near Tromsø, ASCAT system. It comes from Finland, Lapland, and
Is that the European satellite?
in a way
station,
it's not
or-
satellites, but they're antennas.
Antennas, okay.
And that one is for Europe, and of course HAARP is for the whole
And
world.
what does it do, HAARP? What
Well,
can it do?
it shoots magnetic fields into the ionosphere.
Frequencies?
Yeah, and then they come down wherever they want them to come down. If they want to blow this house, it comes down here. If they want to blow a rocket which is attacking, they blow that. It's a weapon. It's the biggest weapon in the world.
So that can create hurricanes,
Hurricanes, storms, drought, whatever. Yeah, that is.
floods, tsunamis.
Yes, absolutely.
So don't we have natural catastrophes?
Of course we do, but more and more it seems that they're man-made now. More and more, because
more is
the
man-made.
depopulation program. Remember, but just like you said, there is hope. Number one hope is the awareness that people wake up to the systems that they cannot understand and accept. And what is the number one thing you can do? Everybody can do. Because a housewife says, what can I do? I mean, I have 5 children and not much money. What can I do? I said, you can think. You have energy. And your energy is, I get goose pimples now, that is true. Your energy is so strong that you can do just about anything. And think of many, many people, groups, energy, energy. We're focusing for the good things. And what are the good things? The dark side. We're focusing on them, sending them a vibration of love, because that they cannot.
But don't you think a lot of people will be very fearful when they hear information like this? So they will send vibrations of fear, being aware, becoming aware of this, and not really vibrations of love, which is what you say is the good thing to do.
Yes.
I mean, or anger, because they're getting very angry that things like that this
That
might
is
be
the
true.
first. That is the first reaction. But then when they think about it, then they have to think, how can we undo this system, which is
And how can we
satanistic.
undoing? Yeah.
By concentrating and sending love and light to those who are on the dark side, because that is the only way. We can't take guns and go on their level.
But how do you think that would be possible for a lot of people to actually be able to do that? That will take a lot to really get people to send that kind of love vibration to something that is supposedly evil.
I'm having terrible troubles because they have killed my 3 closest people in my life, and
Really?
I know. My mother died here with non-lethal weapon in this house. But I know that is the only way. I have not come over it yet.
And do you think that this can actually? Do you think we are on the path to becoming more aware and actually changing the system as it is right now?
Absolutely, because more and more people are going to the alternative side in healing, for instance. Not using all kinds of drugs, but trying also with their own energy. And I thought, well, since I have lectures about healing, so I was sick in the summertime, and I thought, well, now show yourself. And I did. I concentrated. I just took the energy and I talked to my organs, and they listened, and I was fine. Took a couple of days.
So really, the first step is to let people know about these things
Exactly.
and make them
Awareness.
become more aware and conscious, and open their minds to these things. And what is the next step? What is the next step? What can we do by sending? What can we do to change the things that you're talking about?
Well, when people find out the truth, what actually is happening in the world, they want a change. Remember when Obama first time was elected, he said, change, change, change.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any change, has there?
No, not really.
But I mean, we need the change. Yeah, how can you have the change? School system is suppressed. Norway is one of the worst in the world. I mean, not in the world, but in the European countries. Why? Finland is the best. Why? We're neighbor countries. There's a different way of tackling the same things.
So it's not as interconnected as we think it is.
Oh no, no. But when we have just individual here, individual there, and another one there, we think that we can't do anything. Remember telepathy. It exists. Even if you're alone, you can call others who are on the same frequency level. Let's now send them love and light. Let's send them light. They hear, even if they don't hear with ears, they hear with their brain. And that way you can get thousands of people together. And they do have all kinds of seminars, and where they say, for instance, I lectured in Finland for 700 people in July at an esoteric seminar, and we were a little bit worried because there had been news that maybe a terror action is going to happen in London at the Olympics. So we did what we could at the end of the lecture. We all, and it was a lady who suggested it, let's all concentrate, 700. Let's all concentrate now. I said 1 minute or 3 minutes, that's better. Concentrate, love and light, nothing will happen, nothing will happen. And nothing did happen. I don't say that we did it, but I'm sure that our drops in the ocean did have something.
So it is happening now.
It is happening. It is happening, and everybody should use their mind. A newspaper article was in Finland by a student union with mind energy against Illuminati. And that would be a peaceful way of getting peace on planet Earth with love.
Wow. I want to just say, you have this little wonderful alien here, and underneath it's a lot of your books here. Rauni has written a lot of different books that you can see
In 6 languages, yeah.
in 6 different languages, and it's on, what's the titles in English? It's There Is No Death.
There's No Death. The last one is Hidden Worlds, and Messenger from the Stars, Child of the Universe, and a couple of others I forget because I wrote them
It's
in the
amazing.
80s.
So if you want to know more about Dr. Rauni-Leena Luukkanen and Kilde's amazing work, there are all these books and information, and it's been really wonderful talking to you, and I want to thank you very much for letting Age
Thank
of
you.
Truth and us coming in here and hear about your fascinating things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You want a glass of wine?
I would love that.
Age of Truth.